I'd like to introduce our sponsor for the afternoon session. If you would please help welcome the Technology Support Technician for Luzerne County Community College, Sandra Cumberland.
Thank you, Lisa. Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Cumberland, and I'm happy to be here at the NEPA Women's Leadership Conference. Luzerne County Community College is a silver sponsor of this event. LCCC offers leadership training internally and externally, an opportunity for all staff. All of the college vice presidents are female, and 7 out of 9 members of the leadership team are women. Maria Traino, sponsored by Luzerne County Community College, is an award-winning professional brand designer of nearly 2 decades. Maria founded Inspired Studio, a design and marketing agency, and is a certified neuro coach. Maria naturally approaches life and business challenges the same way she approaches a design challenge, with curiosity, creativity, and knowing that a solution always exists. Maria holds a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Communication Design from Kutztown University. Please welcome Maria Traino.
Hi, everybody. I'm really nervous. I really am. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I am nervous-sighted. I have never spoken to this many people at the same time in one room, although some of my reels have like 3,000 views, so that definitely has to count for something. So how's everybody doing today? We're at the last session of the day. How are we feeling? Tired? Burned out? Don't want to listen anymore? I'm going to do my best to keep this light, but we are talking about neuroscience, so it might get a little bit heavy toward the end. And I just wanted to let you know, don't feel like you have to take notes, because I will have an ebook. Where's my? Oh, here it is. Okay. There's going to be an ebook at the end that you can download, so you don't have to worry about taking notes. But today is a little bit of a training piece. So let's get started. Okay, so there's 2 statements on the screen, and I want you to write down whether you are a 1 or a 5, whether you are like, Maria, you're crazy. Number 1 is you don't believe me. Number 5 is like, hell yeah, Maria, I'm 100% on board. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is you, and you already have everything you need to bring your dreams to reality. Now, I know that I'm standing in a room full of high achievers, and I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to list off 10 traits of high achievers, and I want you to stand up when you get to 5, okay? When 5 of these describe you. Action-oriented, optimistic, visionary, output-focused, flexible, accepting, go-getter, opportunity seeker, disciplined, and clutter-free. Look at that. I love it. You're all high achievers. I told you. And I know because I am too. I'm a high achiever too. And the reason I'm here is because I pivoted my passion in the peak of my career. Has anyone ever done that before? It's scary, isn't it? It's like, I see some nodding over here. It is very scary to pivot your passion in the peak of your career. And that's why I'm here today. I started Inspired Studio 10 years ago this year. And it's a marketing and design agency, and we work with entrepreneurs and CEOs and nonprofits to help them brand their businesses from the inside out. And these past couple of years, I've really been drawn toward helping people, instead of companies, design their lives from the inside out, instead of helping them, brand their things on the outside. So that led me to get a certification in neurocoaching, and that's why I'm here today. So we are going to be talking about 5 brain-based, science-backed tools that are going to help you shatter your own glass ceiling, help you get out of your own way, okay? And like I said, there is an ebook, so you don't have to take notes. I'll show you the slide at the end. This is Maria 1.0. This is Maria 1.0. I had an incredible childhood. I really did. My parents are 3rd generation in an Italian-American restaurant, and I grew up working in that restaurant with my 2 younger sisters, surrounded by a really big, loving Catholic Italian family that was always around. I had an incredible childhood. I cannot complain about any of it. We learned a lot of values about hard work, about service, about taking care of people in our community, and just love and good values. But that doesn't mean that as I grew up, I didn't have my own challenges that I would have to overcome. And so I said I was a hard worker and a high achiever. In high school, I actually took a work release program, so I would work on weekends, obviously, and then I would go to school half the day, and then go home half the day and work at the restaurant. And then after that, I would take college classes at night so that my parents could save money when I actually went to college. And that's exactly what happened. I graduated a semester early when I did go to school. So I went to Kutztown University for graphic design and advertising, and I minored in marketing, all along working at the restaurant as well. So I was a very hard worker. After that, I was lucky enough to land a job in the Scranton area doing my trade. I worked at an ad agency, and then I worked at the Scranton Times for a while. And then even through the recession of 2008, I was able to get a job in my field in the Scranton area. And it was about 2011 when I started to become really burnt out. So I was about 26, 27 years old, and I was working in a cubicle using the same fonts, the same colors, the same ideal audience, the same message every day for 5 years, and I was burnt out. I had freelance clients at the same time. I was also working at the restaurant every weekend. So that became my life. And what happened was, at the same time, we got some vulnerable shares going on today. At the same time in my personal life, around 26, 27 years old, I was going through a divorce. And as a Catholic Italian, big family, I was guilt-ridden, full of shame, full of embarrassment, and just, it was my bottom. I mean, I felt like I was too young to be going through a divorce. I was too young to be burnt out in my career, doing exactly what I loved anyway. Like, who was I to be so upset and to hate my life so much when I had everything that I could have wanted? So that was my bottom. And around that time, I got myself a little apartment. Actually, before I got the apartment, I had nowhere to live. So I moved in with my sister. She was in college at the time. So I stayed in like Bloomsburg in some like crappy apartment for a while. I was staying in hotels. It wasn't good. But anyway, so I get this little apartment, and it was all my own. And I was able to make that apartment my own space. The landlord let me paint the walls. I was able to put up curtains, whatever I wanted. And that became like my very healing sanctuary. So one night, I was laying in bed, and I couldn't sleep. Obviously, I couldn't sleep. I hated my life. I hated my job. I didn't have anyone in my life. All my friends left. And so I pulled my phone off my nightstand, and I'm scrolling through Facebook, right? So it's the middle of the night. I'm miserable, scrolling through Facebook, and I see one of those quizzes. Remember those quizzes that used to be on Facebook all the time? And people would share their answers, like, I'm this Harry Potter character. Well, so I was taking some quiz, like, what Sex and the City cocktail are you? And I'm going through the questions, and it's like, what's your favorite meal? What's your favorite hobby? What's your favorite color? And I'm like, I don't know. I was scrolling through those questions, and I didn't have an answer. When it asked my favorite meal, I could think about my sister's favorite meal. I could think about my dad's favorite meal. Hell, I could think about my ex's favorite meal. But anytime somebody asked me what I wanted for dinner, it was always, oh, whatever you want. I don't care. when I think about my favorite color, I mean, I'm a designer. I don't have a favorite color. And my favorite hobby, I mean, again, I thought about all my exes and all the things that they did. Motorcycle riding and, oh gosh, baseball, football. I wasn't into any of that, but I didn't have a hobby of my own. Graphic design was my hobby. Freelancing was my hobby. Working was my hobby. I didn't have one. So that was really a big aha moment for me. Like I was laying there, hating my life, listening to my cat purr, waiting for someone to break into my apartment again, because that definitely happened. And I was just shocked. I was like, I don't know who I am. And so that was my wake-up call. It was a little while after that I had been FaceTiming with a friend. And really, this is my only picture from that time because my computer was stolen. They like no pictures. But I was FaceTiming with my friend, and what do you do when you're FaceTiming with your girlfriends? You just bitch about your lives, right? So, sorry about the swearing. I hope nobody is offended by that. So, I'm telling her about my life and how miserable it is. And now, my friend was a copywriter, and she had her own blog. She was already successful at the time, and she was traveling all over the world doing what she loved. And she's saying, come to Costa Rica. Come to Costa Rica. It's going to be good for you. And I was like, I can't. I can't afford it. My mom can't find anyone to cover for me at the restaurant. I have all these deadline projects with my freelance clients. You know, isn't that what we do? We make excuses. We make excuses for where we are and why we can't step outside of our comfort zones. So she's like, Maria, come on, that's ridiculous. Like, we'll figure it out. You have to come to Costa Rica. A change of environment will be really good for you. So in that moment of like, okay, well, maybe I can. Maybe I can put it on a credit card. Maybe I can figure out how to fly by myself. Maybe I can figure this out. It was in that moment that I realized if she knows who she is, she's a copywriter, then that means I'm a designer. So maybe I do know who I am. And if I'm a designer, then how is my life challenge any different than any of my design challenges? If people hire me to create a logo from nothing but an idea, and I do it, why can't I do that with my life? If I can design an ad campaign or a 40-page annual report out of nothing but a couple of Word docs, why can't I design my life? Why can't I design a life that I love? And that was my breakthrough. That was my big breakthrough. And I actually did go to Costa Rica, and it was the best time ever. I'm really glad I went. But breakdowns lead to breakthroughs. And it's like all of a sudden, you hit up against a glass ceiling. And you can't see it, you can't feel it, but you're suffocated. You're sad, you're miserable, you can't breathe. Everything is dark, everything is gloomy. And then all of a sudden, it breaks. And we get washed over with clarity and confidence and excitement and possibility. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. So in that moment, which was about 10 years ago, that conversation with my friend, Maria 2.0, was born. So for a lot of my clients, they get knocked off track. You know, they're going through their lives, they're going through the motions. Everything seems fine until they get knocked off their tracks. For some people, well, for one of my clients, it was a broken finger, and she couldn't go back to work. For another person, they were just miserable. They were miserable at home, they were miserable at work, they couldn't do it anymore. For another, it was a car accident, and she just couldn't take it anymore. It's like your life is going, it's just going, and you're just going through the motions. You don't want to go back. You don't want to go back, but you don't know how to go forward. And that's when a lot of my clients come to me for coaching. So in that breakthrough, I decided I was going to make some serious decisions. I remember sitting at my coffee table, which was like an antique bench at the time, and I had a stack of white paper, and I had my black Sharpie, and I just started scribbling in so much anger and so much sadness and so much rage, just started scribbling my non-negotiables. I was like, I can't take this anymore. This is it. This is what I'm committing to. And I made some decisions. I decided I was going to focus on my healing. I was going to focus on what lit me up, and I was going to focus on what the lessons were in that dark time for me. I decided I was going to save money as much as I could. I was going to waitress as much as I could. I was going to get as many mileage reimbursement checks as I could. I was going to save my money so that I could quit my job and start my business and focus on my freelance clients. And I decided I was going to finally figure out who I really was so that I could attract my real partner in life. And I swear, it was like God heard my prayers that day. It was like the universe was like, okay, you finally made a decision. And it was like miracle after miracle after miracle started showing up in my life, and quickly. So this is Maria 2.0. So it was about March of 2012 when all that was happening. In May, a guy asked me out to dinner. And I was like, no, I'm not going. I'm focusing on myself. I'm not dating right now. And he persisted, and I was like, you know what? A girl's got to eat. Girl's got to eat. So you're not picking me up. I will meet you there, okay? So I met him out to dinner, and fast forward, he is now my husband. And so that September, just a few months later, I did save enough money to quit my job, and I will never forget that day that I quit corporate for good. Then it was the next July, we ended up getting engaged, and then 3 months later we were married, and no, I wasn't pregnant, everything was fine, but yes, when you know, you know. Like, we just didn't want to wait. And so that was 2014. So then that winter, I had 1 full year of business for myself, and I was able to effectively match my salary from the job I left. And I also, that winter, entered into the Addy Awards, the American Advertising Awards. I don't know if anyone here is familiar. I know some designers over here. I walked away with 5 trophies that night. And as like a rookie in the business, I was, talk about nervous-sighted, I was freaking out. I couldn't believe it. So then May 2015, our first daughter was born. 16 months later, our second daughter was born. So within 4 years, blessing after blessing after blessing, I had quadrupled my first year in business 4 years later. I had 2 children. I was able to take 2 maternity leaves, and it didn't affect my income. I had a home. I had a husband, family of 4. We were living the dream, and a big German Shepherd. We were living the dream. I had everything that I prayed for. Everything that I designed came true. But have you ever heard of this saying, new level, new devil? Anyone ever hear it? Well, you're hearing it today. You're hearing it today. So what happened was I broke through my glass ceiling. I had that big aha moment. But you don't just rise. You know, you can break your glass ceiling, but you don't automatically rise above it. Okay, that takes consistency. That takes courage. And like what Andrea was saying, it takes resilience. It takes believing in yourself to be able to rise above where that glass ceiling was. And that's exactly what I did. I rose and I rose and I rose until I bumped up against my next one. And it was about the fall of September 2016, when I bumped up against my next glass ceiling. I was staring the devil in the face. And this time, instead of it being the middle of the night, like 1 a.m., it was 1 p.m., and I was in bed. I was still in bed. Curtains were drawn. My kids were at my in-laws. I'm so thankful for my in-laws and all their help. My husband was at work, and I was still in bed. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I hadn't had a sip of water. I hadn't eaten a thing. And I was sad. I was depressed. And more than that, I was feeling guilty for being so depressed. It was, I had multiple hernias after having 2 kids in 2 years. And so my body was in pain. But it wasn't that really got me upset. It was my mental and emotional pain that really had me upset that day. And that guilt and that anxious and all of those feelings that came along with it. And I remember laying in my bed and looking at the clock, and it said 1:06. I'm like, man, my parents would kill me if they knew I was still in bed. They would kill me. They've already worked a full day at this point. Now, we grew up in a very hardworking family. They would have killed me. So I realized, oh my God, that's a thought that I just had. And the reason I realized that is because a couple days prior, I was listening to a podcast with Dr. Shannon Irvin. She's a doctor of neuropsychology. And she said on that podcast, a thought always precedes an emotion. A thought always precedes an emotion. So I thought, well, what's the thought underneath these feelings of sadness and guilt and depression in this bed today? What is making my body react in this way? Decide not to eat and decide not to have a sip of water. And I got really curious. And that was my next aha moment, laying in that bed that day, thinking, if there's a thought underneath all of this, what is it? And I got really curious. I became so curious and so passionate. I read all the books, I listened to all the podcasts, and that's what led me to get certified in neurocoaching. And that was when Maria 3.0 was born. I had my next breakthrough because I realized in that moment, when was the last time I felt this depressed? It was when I realized I didn't know who I was. So the idea of not knowing who I was made me feel really shitty about myself. And so I realized when I can become a designer of my life, turned into miracle after miracle, what can I do now to change the reality that I'm in? How can I change my thoughts? I became obsessed with it, you guys. Excuse me. I'm going to grab a sip of water. So, that is why I'm here today. Because I became so obsessed. I practiced, I tested it out, I tested all the theories. I did it for years. You don't have to wait years. I'm summarizing it all into 5 simple steps today. And that's what we're going to talk about. So number 1, our brains are wired to keep us safe. They're wired to keep our surroundings familiar. Our brains are not wired to make us successful, okay? Our brains are wired to keep us safe. So we have something called an amygdala, which is our threat center in the brain, and it's constantly scanning the environment for danger. And all of us define danger differently. For me, public speaking, danger. Saber-tooth tiger level of danger, but I'm doing it anyway because I know the brain science behind it. So that's what's happening. So when we're kids, our brain is constantly scanning the environment, just taking in data. Anything it sees, it's like it just takes it in, puts it on a little note card, and puts it in our back pocket. It's storing information because it wants to conserve energy. It's just taking any data and saving it. And anything that goes against that data is telling you that it's dangerous. So, for example, if you grew up in a family where your parents fought about money a lot, right? So you're watching your parents fight about money. As a kid, your brain's like, okay, money equals bad relationships. How many people saw the Titanic? Everyone. It came out when I was in middle school, and I went to the theater 6 times to watch it. So 6 times a 3-hour movie. I wrote down in my little brain book, rich people are greedy, and poor people have more fun. Yeah, okay. So I grew up in a restaurant business, right? So what do I put? The only way to make money is to work really, 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 really hard, okay? So we all take in all different kinds of data, and anything that threatens that, it becomes a threat, and our bodies respond that way because our bodies, they want to keep us in this, underneath that glass ceiling, okay? So just knowing this one fact, when you feel like you're surrounded by a glass ceiling, you can maybe pull out this tool and say, okay, how is my brain trying to keep me safe? What am I afraid of? What is staying here, keeping me from, that may or may not be true? That's the first one. The second one is a thought always precedes an emotion, and I talked a little bit about this, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper here. Has anyone taken the Myers-Briggs personality test? How many are feelers? Feelers? Any feelers? Yeah, I'm a feeler. So when I first heard this, that a thought precedes an emotion, I was like, that's baloney. There's no way. An emotion always has to come first, and our emotions govern our thoughts. But that is not true. In neuroscience, a thought always, always, always precedes an emotion. But here's the thing. We think about 60,000 thoughts a day. 95% of them are in our subconscious mind, which means we don't hear those thoughts. They're silent. They're running behind the scenes. What we hear is that 5%. It's our conscious thinking, okay? So whenever we want to make a change in our conscious mind, if our subconscious mind isn't on board, it's going to tell you it's scary, it's dangerous. Don't go out there. Don't go for that promotion. How many people read Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg? Yeah, so good. Do you guys remember the chapter about how women will only go after a job if they feel 100% qualified, but men will go for a promotion if they feel 60% qualified? That's a huge discrepancy. Why do women feel like we have to do a job perfectly before we've ever done it before? That is not okay. That is not okay, but it's just our note cards. It's just society. It's just what we saw, what we took in growing up as kids. It's just what our brains, it's just the data our brains took in, wrote down, and put in our back pockets. But we don't have to believe that. We don't have to believe the thoughts that got written down when we were kids, because we're not kids anymore. We're adults, and we get to look at those and decide which ones we want to keep and which ones aren't serving us anymore. So next time we're stuck underneath that glass ceiling and we're going through the motions and we're not happy in our lives, this might be a tool that you could pull out and say, okay, what am I feeling? What am I feeling? And what thought might be leading to me feeling this way? Number 3, thoughts and emotions repeated over time become beliefs, and beliefs are stored in our subconscious mind. We're still in the subconscious mind, you guys. So, let's see. Yeah, so thoughts combined with emotions on repeat over time become beliefs. And beliefs are our identity. It's who we believe we are, okay? It's like, oh, I'm a loud Italian. It's just who I believe that I am, right? Belief is that nature versus nurture piece, okay? This can be nurtured. This is the stuff that we acquire, not from our DNA, but from our environment. So let me tell you another quick story. I was going through my neurocoaching certification program, and part of that was peer coaching. We had to peer coach our peers. And I was getting coached by my friend Audrey. I was a high achiever, so right off the bat, we're like, let's coach each other every week. So that's what we did. And so we were going through this session, and I don't even remember her question, to be honest. My answer was, oh, because I don't matter. And she was like, what? I'm like, yeah, I don't matter. It's not about me. She's like, what? And I was like, oh my God. She's like, how else is that showing up in your life? And I was like, everywhere? Everywhere? I don't matter. It's not about me. It's the reason I didn't know who I was at 25, 26, 27 years old. It's the reason I said yes to a relationship that I should have probably said no to earlier on. You know, it's here. This is the next wild thing. So I wrote the copy for our Inspired Studios website. Can you tell? It's not about us. It's about our customers. It literally became who I was. It's who I believed I was, like deep down at a cellular level. So much so that she had to point out to me, this is what you think that you are. And it doesn't have to be that way. And I will tell you right now, if I still believe that, I would not be standing here today. It took a lot of courage for me to be here today and to break my neural pathways. It's taken some work. But I'm doing it, and I'm proof that this works. Proof. So, yeah, that's the big one. So our identity is deep in our subconscious mind. So if we're stuck here, you know, under the ceiling, we can ask ourselves, who do we believe we are? Who do I believe that I am? Who do I believe that I am? And if you get the answer, just being aware can help you make that shift. Number 4, beliefs in our subconscious mind influence decisions, actions, and results. Okay, let's all say that together because this is like a really key piece. Beliefs influence decisions, actions, and results. Okay, decisions, actions, and results are now in our conscious mind. Okay, so let me give you an example. So let's say I'm a business owner and I want to see more profits in my business. So that's the result. I'm looking at the results and I'm like, yeah, I'm not super happy. So I make a decision. I am going to try this digital course. Okay, I decide I'm going to try this digital course. Then I take the digital course, doing all the actions. I'm going all in. Then I look at the results and I'm like, a little bit. I'm going to decide now I think I'll try hiring a consultant. Yeah, if someone tells me exactly what to do, then I'll do it and everything will be fine. So I do everything the consultant says, and then I look at the results and I'm like, a little better, but I'm still not really seeing what I want. So then I'm going to decide, I'm going to hire a VA. I need help. I'm going to make the ask. I'm going to hire a VA. And we hire the VA, we give them all the stuff, and then we look at the results and we're like, shit, it's still not working. So now what is that? Repeated behavior. And what am I feeling? Frustrated. So what's our brain going to do? New belief. You're a bad business owner. See how that happens? And now from this belief of being a bad business owner, what decisions am I going to take? Oh, don't go on social media. No one's going to hire you. Oh, don't price your services the way they should be because no one's going to pay that. What kind of actions are we going to take? None. Probably not going to do shit because we don't think we're good business people, right? And then what results are we going to see? We're going to start to downturn. And that is how we keep ourselves safe. But it doesn't have to be that way. It's just the way our brains are wired. Our brains are just wired to keep us safe. They're not wired to make us successful. But we can change that. We can rewire our brains using the science of synaptic pruning and neuroplasticity. And this is why I'm here today, because I'm so lit up about this and the possibilities that can happen. So this is a video of neural pathways in our brain. Thoughts are just balls of energy that travel down these neural pathways, okay? And so, let's see if this works. So those are little thoughts going down neural pathways. And you'll see on the left, right here, see that's getting stronger. That's our thoughts becoming beliefs, right? Thoughts and emotions repeated over time become beliefs. Our thoughts have to jump over this little gap. Now on the right, you're going to see this one becomes stronger, and the two on the left are getting weaker. See they're breaking? That's synaptic pruning. And that's where we can decide these beliefs are no longer supporting who I want to become, no longer supporting the results that I want in my life. And we can create new success pathways using neuroplasticity. And that is why I became certified, because I wanted to learn the neuroscience tools that could help other people design their lives. And we have to go to the source with it. You can't just hire a consultant. You can't just take a digital course. You can't just layer on the new tactic or strategy in your marketing campaign and expect the results to get better. Because deep down, that 95% in our subconscious mind is going to be running the show. It's going to be influencing your decisions, actions, and results. It's like if you fill up your garbage can in your kitchen and you take the bag out and you put it over to the side, put in a new garbage bag, you come downstairs in the morning, your house smells, light a candle, spray some Febreze, keep filling up the second garbage bag, put it over to the side, come downstairs again. It stinks. You gotta take that garbage out, you guys. We have to go to the source if we want to see any real results in our lives. And so that's why I became a neuro coach. Because I want people like you, high achievers, to be able to design a life you love. I want you to be able to break past your own limiting beliefs and step into who you are meant to be. Because I believe if we are all breathing, which we are, and we are all here on this planet because we have more to do. We have a purpose. You do matter. Your thoughts matter. Your feelings matter. Your purpose matters. Every single one of you here. So to let our old programming run the show is no longer an option. It has to be a non-negotiable. We can take our old note cards and rip them up and watch the ashes burn. And then we can rewrite our own stories. And this, if you want to take a picture of this, this is where you can grab the ebook. And I'm also going to be doing a deeper training on my designer's approach to success, which is a three-part method of doing exactly what I told you about today. As a coach, I get to hold space for my clients and allow them to dig in and really see their own thoughts because, like I said, it's just our identity. It's who we think we are. And sometimes it just takes a safe space and that mirror to let you see yourself in a new way and then reframe. Like they've been saying in all these workshops today, I feel like there's definitely an underlying theme. And so, what numbers did you write down in the beginning? I'm hoping you're all a 5 now. Is anyone a 1 still? If you're 1, I'm coming after you after this. And these are my final thoughts. Breakdowns lead to breakthroughs. Make a decision. Make a decision. Staying in indecision isn't going to get you anywhere. Believe in yourself. You matter. You already have everything you need inside of you to achieve whatever it is you want, because your desires are in your heart for you to fulfill, not for someone else to fulfill. You have the desire. You are meant to make it happen. And you can design a life you love. You have everything you need. And with that, I will take any questions you have. Thank you.
From our website, one of our audience members says, I just got a new job and learning is a huge difficulty. I find that I am constantly in my own way, constantly stressed. How can I fix that?
Well, I would like to be able to ask them more questions, but the first thing she said was learning is very difficult. So I would say change that language. What we say out loud is a very key indicator of what's going on behind the scenes. So maybe she feels like learning has always been a challenge for her. Maybe learning always has been difficult. And so I would say challenge that. Maybe learning can be easy. Maybe learning can be fun. And how can we change our identity to believe that? I'm the kind of person that loves to learn. I'm the kind of person that loves to try new things.
Very good, thank you.
See you next.
Hi, it might be a little difficult to speak to, but how long would it take to break down the old paths and create new?
Oh,
And then one other question is, what's the name of the Italian restaurant?
Okay, so that's a really good question. So it takes 21 days to start to break down the old one and rebuild the new one. That's why you hear 21 days is all it takes to make a habit. That's BS, okay? It takes 21 days for them to be equal. And at 21 days is when there's a lot of resistance. It takes a full 67 to build the new one and break down the old one. And in my process of going through this, I have a neurocoaching model that will help you do that. It takes 67 days, and we have a process for that. And the restaurant is Green Gables in New Milford, Pennsylvania. Anybody else? Yeah.
So I'm a new mother, and
Yeah.
my daughter is 21 months old, and I saw that obviously 2 children came into your life. So I'm just curious if you can share anything about what the way that you live and the things that you have learned look like reflected in the way that you interact with your children, and some of the ways that you kind of prepare them for that kind of thinking.
It's a very good question, and something I'm still working on, to be honest with you. I mean, I think as parents, we're all just doing the best we can. And I think if we prioritize our own kind of self-care, then we can embody what we want our kids to mirror. We don't necessarily have to say anything, but they watch what we do. They pay attention to how we feel, how we make them feel. So I think by embodying the kind of person you want to become is just going to show them naturally, because they're picking up data, right? If you're constantly arguing with your husband or stressed all the time, they're going to think that's normal, right? So I would say just embody what you want for them and just show them. Yeah, but don't write that down. Just in case I'm wrong.
Maria, I have another one from our website. How do I ask for a raise? I feel like I'm not worth it even though I work really hard.
Ooh.
Do you want me to read it again?
Yeah, well, they said it right in there. I feel like I'm not worth it.
Right.
So that's where you start. That's where you have to start,
Self-worth.
is dig in why don't you feel like you're worth it? And where is there evidence in your life that you are worth it? And then lean on that. Try to find evidence to the contrary so that you can start to shift your beliefs toward what you want. Yes?
Can you share a very simple strategy for if you're grappling with like a hard decision or something that's challenging? What's one thing that people can do and walk away with that can help them kind of do something that's really challenging in their head?
I like lists. Does anyone else like lists? Yeah, so usually what I'll do is I write down all the negative things that seem to be coming up, right? So sometimes people say morning pages. Did you ever hear that? Where like you wake up first thing and you just brain dump for 3 pages just to get the junk out so that your brain can start thinking clearly and those negative thoughts don't run the rest of your day. I would say like really give yourself a sacred space, carve out time, number one, to do this work, and dig in and see like what's coming up. What is that? Why do you think it's challenging? What's challenging about it? And make a list of those things. And then what I do is I number them, and then I make another piece of paper and I number those, and I contradict it. I like go mama bear at those beliefs, and I say, no, I'm not buying it because of this, because of this, because of this. And then I just lean on the newer list and try to embody that. Hope that helped.
So how do you break down and rebuild while you're still trying to like live that life that's happening at the same time, right? Like it feels like I can't stop all the things that aren't necessarily positive for me. But how do you do that all at the same time, right?
Once you figure out what your limiting beliefs are, I will take you through a process called the Mind Matrix where you, and I think I have it in one of the slides. Here it is. You recognize it, you record it. Oh, went too far. So you recognize it, you record it, and then you rewrite it, and then you rewire it. And through the rewiring process, it only takes like 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night, and you do that for 67 days. So it doesn't take a lot of time. I think that might be it. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you. Thank you.